Like, bro, my whole life, bro, no lie, bro. And I'm to the point where I told my wife last night, I almost don't feel. Like, I'm getting to a point to where I don't feel anymore. Mm-hmm. Because it's like my life has been a series of events. And maybe that's why I am the way I am, because I've only been able to go off of my experiences in God's voice. But it's like been hard, bro. Like, my life has been hard. And I ain't saying like, my grandmother who raised me, she died, I'm like, oh, I've been divorced. Like, but it's not even that. It's just, it's not been a break nowhere. It's never been like, okay, I can breathe. It's just been like one test after another, one trial after another.
You need a win.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm like, God, when is that going to happen? And it just made me not trust people, not trust the words of people.
Right.
It's made me just be very reserved in a lot of aspects. Like, for instance, like 16 people RSVP for the next think tank and 3 maybes, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I had 22 and 3 and 7 people showed up. Like, I just called cap on stuff. Like, top of the morning, the afternoon, and the evening to you. It's your boy AntMoe coming live and direct from the studio of the Mind of a Man podcast. And to the right of me, to the left of you, it is the debutante of debonair. That boy Randy C. Mays in the building. You know what I'm talking about? It's a little fanfare over here. I'm giving you a little applause. I just added in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Applause as it should be given unto thee.
Is the applause still good? It ain't long enough.
You know what? And I tell you, hold on, and I'm gonna tell you the funny thing. Mm-hmm. This ain't even an applause button, folk.
So it's the cap button.
Full of it, full of cap.
I tell you, boy, your own people.
Hold on, folk. Because you're gonna get your applause. There we go. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta play around with these old settings.
Yeah. I need that stendo applause.
Bro, let me tell you something. First of all, before we get into it, I don't think I ever paid attention to how old I really sound. But Pastor pointed out so much, and I'm listening to myself as I'm talking. I'm like, bro, I sound like a 97-year-old man.
Every bit of it.
But nah, man, welcome all you first-time listeners and watchers, man. The people who've been rocking with AntMoe and Randy C. Mays, man. We thank you, appreciate you for tapping in. Welcome to the Mind of a Man podcast, where we give you a holistic peek inside of the mind of a man. You understand what I'm saying? And it's holistic, so it's mind, body, soul, with the end result being a community of men who are whole, healthy, and healed, man. And so, Randy C. Mays, you know what I'm saying? How you feeling, my guy?
I was well, man. A little tired, man. Got back on vacation, man. Got off work. Pushing through, man. I'm
trying to get in the swing of things. Yeah, I understand, man.
It.
So, truth be told, there's in my mind, there's a lot to cover. There's some things I want to run by you, but I'll say this. Do you know that people thought we was beefing?
Nah, I ain't know that.
People thought there was an alt between us. Or, I'll say this. Some people thought that there was some type of hint of competition. Now, new to your ears, right? Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. And it's not true at all in any capacity. And those things were dispelled. But my question is, when it comes to, and me and Randy both do videos. Me and Randy, you know, both sit in front of cameras and speak and do certain things. But I guess my question is, like, being new to your ears, it can't seem strange given this. Remember our conversation, the Puerto Rico, when you were talking about dispelling the enemy.
Correct.
And so I'll say I think it not strange that it could have that appearance, not because the heart of people, even though sometimes people's heart could be kind of wicked and divisive, even though that's not the case.
Right.
I could see how my conversation and then our conversation, how it just gave legs to the whole idea of what you were talking about in the first place.
Yeah, correct.
What do you think that is, you know, besides a simple, like, oh, the enemy is busy type situation?
I mean, optics are everything. Optics are everything. Now, they don't realize we had a conversation 3 weeks ago about our assignments just being different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And even going back before that, we had conversations about the vision. It's clear, like, this is your vision. Mm-hmm. That I rock with it. I don't see it. It's not my vision. Right. I mean, all this stuff, those conversations have been had. So, I mean, optics are everything.
Right.
Them not seeing us attached as far as the cigar thing. The cigar talk.
Yeah.
Sundays don't work for me.
Yeah. And
also that group personally is not my group. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not Randy's demographic. Right, that's not my need. And we've had all these conversations behind closed doors. So I mean I get it though. It's
par for the course.
Yeah, I get it though. But the conversations have been had long before they caught on, whatever they caught on to.
So I do want to give the people some peeks inside of what we've talked about. We don't got to share everything, but can you kind of talk about the first of all the revelation in general that you were able to get from God throughout this whole process of being able to go, get away, have a clear mind, sit in front of some water, you know what I'm saying? Like, enjoy that space, and just kind of how God has been dealing with you, so to speak, and how you are to even move in the next phase of life, or what that even looks like.
As pertains to us or
if you're comfortable, but then us. Yeah, absolutely.
For me, man, I have been personally after a week, man, of me and my thoughts. I am released to move into this, to comfortably move through this uncomfortable space that I'm in, as far as doing the things that God has kind of called me to do. He's confirmed that my voice carries weight in this season, and that it's necessary in this season, and that this season is all about being obedient and just doing what he's called me to do, even when uncomfortable. So for me personally, it's just clear your thought. Clear your head and just get busy. Yeah. Get busy. It's not anything that you haven't already been doing behind closed doors. Now you're called to a season of, honestly, holding a microphone and doing it publicly. But I feel that I have the boldness and authority to go forward and do everything he's called me to do right now.
Right, which is also an outward proclamation of you being able to get the microphone and do it publicly. Is just a public proclamation of what he's already been doing privately. You know what I'm saying? It's just the two things merging together to finally say, all right, here I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what it is that you come to do.
Right, because I don't want to publicly hold the microphone.
Exactly. Yeah.
In any regard.
Yeah, the obedience piece is always better than sacrifice, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about in our dynamic? Like, the things that God kind of revealed to you? Because I'm gonna tell you, bro, when you said certain stuff to me, I was like, bro, that's crazy, because it's like something that you live, but simply like it's like I could put my finger on it, but maybe I couldn't say this is what it is. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
And that man, and just being a man, period. Side note, let me just say this, man. God gave me this in a conversation with my cousin, I don't know, yesterday or the day before. For me, and I'm sure it's applicable to a lot of men, period. The best thing that I can do for the world and those under my sphere of influence is to ensure that I have clarity of thought.
Yeah.
Like, I have to guard my clarity of thought, period. So if that's me turning down an invite somewhere, or me not going somewhere, or me saying, listen, I just need to sit on this patio for 2 hours, my greatest contribution, because the thoughts and the things that I'm going to prepare during that 2 hours of solitude, or on vacation, or at that restaurant by myself, or at the cigar, the stuff that I'm going to do is going to have a positive impact on everybody around me. You know what I'm saying? So, clarity of thought. Then I forgot what was the question?
Just what God was showing you.
Oh, about this. Yeah, man. So a lot of people, transparency, don't even understand how me and Anthony connect at all, because honestly, we cap and we have things alike, but to be honest, we're polar opposites in a lot of regards. Yeah. So it's just, and they don't understand, even while we've been rocking for 6 years now at all. And so in doing that, a lot of it is that God, where I met Anthony and how he was then, and I've seen a transformation over the last 6 years, but God revealed to me things about Anthony and why he is how he is. Now, we as men, period, we all have experiences that we need to heal from. We got childhood stuff. We got being raised wrong. We got terrible experiences in our 20s doing stuff we weren't supposed to do, and it's impacted how we move through life. But God took me on a field trip last week about things as far as his relationships, as far as his parents, his grandmother. He took me on a field trip, and he showed me all this thing and said, this is why he responds how he does. And so I was able to kind of share that with Anthony and tell him, like, basically, I don't get you at all, and I may never get you, but I see you though. Yeah. And so that's why it was just a raw dialogue. Like, I don't all the way get the Mind of a Man podcast. Yeah. I don't all the way understand why you won't relax. I don't understand why you so intense, but I see you though. And so it was a moment where that whole thing is still not all the way clear, but I'm just letting you know that I see you. Negro, I don't get you for the life of me, but I see you though. And so it was just a very vivid conversation. Like, I may not click with everything you're doing because I don't get it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I see you though. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the most important thing, that as far as our dynamic goes, is like, bro, I don't get it, but I see you. And
the key thing you said out of all of it when we talked was, you talked about the dynamic of you. It was like, this is how I know that more than anything, especially in this season of life, that God is speaking with such clarity, is because you literally were walking through scenarios, like in a general aspect of my life, and how I could have got to where I'm at. And you said, I see how you could only trust in your experiences and the voice of God. Yeah. And the good thing for me is that if nothing else, somebody could trust and believe that at least I hear that. It may not make sense. Like you said, like when people's like Moses wouldn't have understood Abraham's assignment, just like he wouldn't have understood Joseph. Like, everybody had their own thing to do. And the things that God has whispered into my ear at 10 years ago, like 2012, 2013, like, It wasn't purpose for the heart of everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it was like in that moment, it was like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Because that was, once again, even though there was no issues, it just was another way to dispel the enemy, to say, yeah, you could use what I don't understand to create this division that God never caused. God wants me to embrace, essentially. Say that's my brother regardless, like, and we'll move in just. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'll tell you about first of all, I want to affirm you in something, and then I want to tell you about yesterday after I got done talking to you. So for people, they need to understand this. I'll say this. I think that I don't have many concerns about Randy, right? But my one concern is that people, and it's something clearly he's aware of, but that people will always look at the calling on his life, how you could clearly see the hand of God in how he moves, and not see him, not see his heart, not see the man behind the blessing. Imagine, somebody seeing Abraham or Isaac or Jacob or any of these people and seeing all the riches and seeing that Moses clearly went up one way and came down another way off the mount. You know what I'm saying? And so I've never saw Randy in my highest or my lowest. I've always just seen the man. I've always seen the guy who genuinely, when we first connected, we was out there with our girls at cheer. You know what I'm saying? And him and Joey, were able to just were trying to help me, straighten some stuff out as far as like what I was going to be doing in my future and things of that nature. And off of just a simple inbox, where I don't even like inboxing people because I be thinking a lot of people cap. You know what I'm saying? That, he was just always just a genuine. I never got that he was not genuine in saying, oh man, whatever you need, bro. Hey, let's link. In a time where in your mind, I don't be linking with people, bro. Like that's cats singing the choir, they on some funny stuff. Like just the whole mindset of where you came from.
Right.
Like it wasn't nothing but a God thing for us to even connect in the first place.
Right.
And he's done nothing but be him. Now, he ain't perfect like none of us are, but he's always been him. He's always been genuine, always been a solid brother. It's a few people in my life, and not to mention like a few people that have recently came into my life, but I'm talking about over this 6-7 year span that God has showed me these people that like, oh, you didn't even realize this dude was solid like he is. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you're gonna do life with this dude. And it ain't been a lot of people. And that's cool. We have to understand that our circles aren't always gonna be this giant thing that we want to make it out to be sometimes.
Right.
Your circle don't need to be that big, bro.
Right.
If your circle need to be that big, something wrong. You looking for something. You searching for something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he's just like even with the podcast, like I saw something. I'm like, bruh, this could be something, dog. This could be something dope. Like our dynamic. Because all I was wanting to do was take our conversations privately and put them on the microphone. Because it was always insight. It was always cap. But it was always something that was fruitful. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I think it was like a 6-month span. And it started with I brought it to him. He's just like, yeah, man, I don't fit into my schedule right now, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't my thing. I don't like being in the camera, bro. That's you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I hear you, but let's do it. You know what I'm saying? And so I backed off of it. And then like 6 months later, literally, I brought it up again. Bro, I really think, dog. And he was like, all right, dog, I actually got some free time in my schedule now. Let's see how it works. You know what I'm saying? And I think a part of it too was seeing everything that went into it. Cause I remember you being like, bro, I was like watching you, bro. I didn't bro, that's a lot, man. And it's like, it was just like a genuine, just like, man, I appreciate what you doing. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just like God was able to bless it for that season for sure, to be able to, like, relationship back. Bro, I almost want to say, if we had this set up, I'm going to be honest, like, this setup for relationship back, I think we would have went to the moon with that, bro. Because the numbers was crazy,
right?
Even though the quality was subpar by far.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that just goes to show, when you have quality content, it's going to trump all the other stuff.
Right.
So I fast forward. I'll say this. Me and Randy both started going through an uncomfortable season at the same time. His probably started a little bit before mine, actually. But I started seeing the signs, right? And then it was like, as I was making the shift from Wayne's World to the Mind of a Man podcast, like I just knew that's what I was supposed to do. It did, like he said, doesn't make sense to him, but I'm like, man, this is something I gotta do, man. Like, it's something attached to it, which I'm grateful for already, because I think if I never do that, the think tank never comes to pass. And that's something that God has burned in me for, like, literally like 10 years, bro. Like, I saw this network, I saw this something that I haven't even seen fully yet come to pass. And so, in even changing that name, that has been made possible. But Randy, like, man, I don't get it, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was almost like, all right, look, like he said this, like, man, we rocking, bro. But I think a part of that for us to continue is to be clear in the communication of, you know, what is and what ain't.
Right.
Which I appreciate greatly, because as much as we may spend a lot of time capping, and at the core of us, that's not us. That's what we do, because we just goofballs. We like to pass the time with, right. Like, I don't want to grow up. You know what I'm saying? Right, like, right. That's a part of it. But in him saying it, I'm like, absolutely, bro. I couldn't agree more. That's what he kind of was sharing earlier. I don't see it, bro. I don't get it. It ain't connecting, but I'm rocking with you.
All right.
However you see fit.
All right.
So I'm gonna tell you about Randy too. Randy is a dude, and I can talk about it now because it's over with. But you got a cake for Jeff for his soft opening, right? And my wife made the cake. I transported the cake. Long story short, I dropped the cake. I feel horrible. But on top of that, I'm like, I ain't got the money to give him back for this cake. That's all going through my mind. But I know Randy. He's going to minimize it because he doesn't want to make a big deal about it. But at the same time, we operate on honor. We operate on respect. So I'm like, bruh, I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, man, I got to pay this dude ASAP. I got to because I dropped the cake. It's my responsibility at this point. And I told my wife, I said, I know Randy. He ain't going to say nothing. Now, yeah, you can say it is what it is, but I'm like, no, it's important to make that right, period. No matter what. I don't care. Like, you can say whatever you want to say. I got to make that right. And then I sent you the money back. And what did you remember what you said?
Thanks for making that right.
Appreciate you for making that right, bro. Mm-hmm. And my heart dropped because I knew like that, like you had, like he's basically a person that he just gonna pick up the slack. He not gonna complain about it. But it's almost like for those people who move funny, because I'm the same way. It's almost like, all right, mental note. That, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I skip ahead to the podcast. Randy don't need to be a part of this podcast. He's called to something different. He's not. This ain't what he should be focusing his time on. But he's committed to the process of even seeing what God would do in my life, because that's just the type of man he is. I say, I thank you for that, bro. I love you. You are my brother. Nothing changes that.
For sure.
But I'm laying on my face yesterday, right after I got off the phone with you. And I got my music playing, and I'm quiet. It's weird because you know how sometimes when you laying still, your mind can be going a million places.
Absolutely.
My mind was still. Wasn't nothing going. I mean, it's weird how clear it was for me laying on that floor. I wasn't sleepy, none of that. And then God said this, and I know we know we beyond that super fake. God told me,
right.
But God said he's waiting to be released. He's waiting to be released. And I knew who he was talking about. I knew what he was talking about.
Right.
So I want to say on camera that in my heart as a brother, I love you. You are released, bro. Like you don't, you have no longer have to feel any assignment to have to be a part of, or not even like it's pressure,
right.
But just that you could tell me no. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever want you to come back and be a part of stuff, but right. I'm saying as you have to be on the podcast we doing this, God told me to release you from that, bro.
You in the spirit?
Yeah.
You in the spirit. Yesterday, I think I was talking to Jeff. I said, I don't see me being part of the podcast much longer.
I'm gonna tell you this, but I'm gonna tell you how far I go back. When we first had to talk about the uncomfortable season, when we was on the phone, God showed me then. But and it was a part where we talked and it was clear and it was all making sense. And then it got to a point where it was quiet and God was just telling me about it. And I was like, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to, because I'm like, yeah, it's my brother. I don't like. I'm not selfish. I'm not, but I'm like, man, what do we look like? You know what I'm saying? Like we don't talk a lot. Like, bro, I don't have a lot of friends. Like, let me say that. Right. I really don't have a lot of friends. And so to find one that I could even share my platform with, where I could trust you,
right,
it's just like it's new territory. Like, because I started the podcast by myself. You know what I'm saying? And I could do it. Trust me, fam. I could sit on that camera and talk about 40 different things and never lose a beat. Right. But to get the co-host that I wanted, it was like, no, I didn't even think about nobody else. I was like, Randy. Right. It was just like, it made sense. It was 1 + 1 is 2. Right. And so I was talking to Danny about it. I said, I'm telling you, I said, I'm not no, well, I'll be capping, I ain't no soothsayer or nothing. But I'm like, when God, man, I'm telling you, when God tell me something clearly, it be real. It be there. And I'm like, I know God told me that. I know God told me that. For sure. And so it was like, and even like all the struggle that we've been through for us to record. Right. It's like, if God ain't purposed it in your heart, it'll feel like a task. Bro, because I knew that we were going to be having this conversation, my stomach got queasy, bro. Like, I'm talking about, I was just like, bro, like, almost like I wasn't going to make it. Like, it's just like, what it is it's the final step in both of us being fully aligned with what God has said. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's just the obedience of being able to walk away, or the obedience of me being able to say, okay, God, I'm all right. For sure. All right, I gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. And so I think where there's confusion, it's not like one of us is walking evilly, but it's God ain't in it. Right. And you gotta trust, like, okay, that ain't my season, so go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, then the conversation I was having actually this morning was that what I don't want to do is, and it's just all just confirmation, I never want to be disingenuous, right, to the platform. Yeah, you know, my calling is not towards men. That ain't my numbers. Even just social media platform wise, is 60-40 women. I have many spiritual little sisters. That's who clings to me. Is that ain't, you know what I mean? So I never want to be. I can come drop a nugget and get out, but as far as the heart behind it, I never want to come across as disingenuous. But like we said, man, that demographic is not.
Yeah,
I can chop, but I can sit there. If I were to come and be a part of anything else, and it would just be me, some kind of insight that I have, or capping with the fellas. That's not what that platform is for.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I never would want to. I never want to discount anything that you're doing. You know what I mean? By staying attached to it, when there could be either you could take the train further solo, or there'd be somebody in this seat that actually has the actual heart behind it and actually sees the vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
And I'll take a man. Don't lose that train of thought, because we're gonna take a mini break so I can reset this camera, and then I want to go into that, because that's something that's important.
Right.
Okay. So repeat what you just said.
I never want to be disingenuous towards the men that this platform serves, especially if there could be somebody else. Either you could take the platform further by yourself, or with somebody else in the seat.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that take the platform further by yourself, or somebody that fits in the seat, right? Mm-hmm. The thing is, when you align with the overall vision of where you're supposed to go, sometimes the taking the platform further is just the obedience, right? It's you going. It's Abraham taking his son to the altar to be sacrificed, tying him up, and then it's like, oh, okay, you for real. Right. Okay, God sends the ram in the bush. You know what I'm saying? Right. One of my causes for where I knew a long time ago is because it's like you just never had that genuine love for it. Like it was a great opportunity, because you are a wise person and you do have something to say. Right. But it's like you never just had that. I love it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, God never allowed me to get attached to it.
Yeah. And it was fine. I never was like, but I'll say on the flip side, I don't even know if I was supposed to ever get away from the format that I was even doing it in. Like, I think I shifted it because I wanted to, like, it's weird because I almost wanted to make sure that I was always putting you in a position to shine the way you could. You know what I'm saying? The way, like, because you would tell me, you say, hey, bro, like, I ain't going to be able to hold court like that. Like, you do this and then I do that. You know what I'm saying? And I think I just always wanted to make sure that I was putting you in a position to do that. You know what I'm saying? But, even just speaking to the men's thing, like, bro, I shine in that role, like holding court with the fellas, like mediating and dropping nuggets, like, bro, like how you felt when I talked to you about when you spoke before which ministry was it? Goals, yeah. That feeling that you had, that's how I feel every time I do a think tank. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like to be able to well, the last one was a little iffy, but for some other reasons. But in general though, man, like I feel nervous. Like I sit up, bro, and as I take in the word, as I take in different podcasts, I waffle with how am I gonna address these men? What's gonna be the first thing that comes to my mind or from my mouth that can hit their heart? And so it's like I'm grateful, bro, and I want us to pivot and talk about maneuvering through an uncomfortable season, and definitely because there's still meat on the bone to give people, but if you would have showed up any later, I would have told you we're not gonna record, don't sweat it, like let's just talk. You know what I'm saying? But we here, so I'm like, cool, like let's do it. But yeah, we can even skip that, whatever I was talking about before that. But let's give the people something to take home about maneuvering through an uncomfortable season of life, that it's not all bad. It's all about how you embrace it, or whatever you want to give them. You know what I'm saying? Don't let me put the words in your mouth. But yeah, talk to them about, first of all, discovering that you're in an uncomfortable season, and then the steps in maneuvering through it so far.
It don't take a rocket scientist to figure out you're uncomfortable. There's just an uneasiness that you feel in your stomach. Stuff is new to you. It's like your first day doing a new job almost, but it's every day, and you're like, I don't know. There's no training manual. I'm literally just moving. The steps is you have to be still and listen. A lot of us wanted to maintain so much control over our lives, and our calling is rooted in pride, because we're afraid to look foolish in this season, but we just don't know what's next.
Yeah.
So, man, the humility to say, God, I'm uncomfortable. I know I'm right where you want to be, Lord. Just reveal to me what's next, and I'll go. You're going to be uncomfortable anyway. You might as well keep going. Because if you go back to what you were doing, you're going to be uneasy because you're not supposed to be there. And if you move forward without God and use your own knowledge, you're going to be uncomfortable because you're lost. So you might as well find a way to literally sit still and say, Lord, what's next? And then it'll become abundantly clear what you're supposed to be doing, like opportunities to do just that thing that you really don't want to do. They won't stop coming.
Yeah.
They literally will not stop coming. And then I believe that God will send you, he'll send you affirmation and confirmation in one way or another. He'll send you, for me personally, I would get random prayers about the very thing that I was uncomfortable about, that I hadn't shared with these people.
Yeah.
And then after going forward and doing I started a whole folder on my phone for these screenshots. And then after you go and start doing the thing, I believe that God will send you some kind of confirmation or affirmation in that regard of people saying, like, I see you, I was blessed by this, I was blessed by that. And then once they say they're blessed by it and you've helped them, now I believe it's the confirmation that you're headed the right direction.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll put you through all of that and leave you in the unknown space whether you're moving in the right direction or not.
And I'll say this. I slightly disagree about the not recognizing it, that you're in an uncomfortable space, because, well, I'll say it this way. They'll know they're uncomfortable, but they won't be able to properly assess why. And then they'll in turn put it on other people. Meaning, God may be putting you through a season so that you can be still, so that you can retract, or some that you could even lean in more towards something that you're supposed to be doing. But we'll use it to be at odds with people because we're feeling away. So we'll attribute it to people, or we'll ignore the spirit of it all and not say, okay, God, what are you saying? I'm listening. It's so easy, because think about it. So one day, this was around the time as, I started before me and Randy had the conversation, and he walked in and I saw him outside, you know what I'm saying? And, I went out to greet him or whatever. And, it was just super weird. Like, I don't know why. Like, we never just are weird towards each other for whatever the reason. But for whatever the reason, this time it was weird. And I was like, man, I was like, that was weird to myself. So we went and served. And then I think the next day I was off from work. And so then we end up talking. And then it just kind of, we got into the uncomfortable conversation. But I could have took that and felt the way. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I could have took that and internalized it as something completely different than what it was. Right. But number one, I trusted that our relationship was far beyond an experience where I may have misinterpreted something. Mm-hmm. And forsaking the fact that what you got going on in your head, or what you may be processing or filtering through, it's not about, man, the biggest thing I've learned about life is that it ain't about me.
Correct.
It's about the people that I can affect. It's about my kids. It's about my wife. It's, man, bro, I'm going through such a tough time right now, more than I ever have, and through it, me and my wife have been able to galvanize in a way that I didn't ever think was possible. And it was some times where I was feeling low about myself. Not like, I mean, like as a man in the core things, the priest, provider, protector piece, where it wasn't connecting. And I'm just like, the enemy is really agging me, bro. He coming at me. He's doing what he does. And instead of running the opposite way and feeding into it, I ran to God's word. I ran to his presence. And it allowed me to do something I've never done with my wife, and it just pushes him down further. Like, I was feeling like a little bit of pride rise up to where it was like, she doing this because of that, because of some, like, a deficiency of mine. And it wasn't even the case. But before the enemy could get a foothold, man, I just allowed God. I stayed attuned to his voice, and I allowed him to just squash all of that, man. And so I think that sometimes it's not that we can't hear God, but we can, man, what am I trying to say, bro? We can hear God, or we could know that something is going on, but we want to attribute it to God. That's what it is. We'll attribute it to the outside factors that don't have anything to do with the reality of what's actually going on if we're not careful. You know what I'm saying? And so I'll say, for me, man, maneuvering this uncomfortable season has meant I just have to endure it. Like, some stuff, bro, like, because for you, your uncomfortable season might just be saying yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, I got to say yes. Like, I remember you saying that a few times. Like, in this season, all right, y'all need it, I'm going to say yes to it.
Ain't got nothing but a yes for you.
You know what I'm saying? And for me, it's just like, just keep holding. Like, bro, my whole life, bro, no lie, bro. And I'm to the point where I told my wife last night, I almost don't feel. Like, I'm getting to a point to where I don't feel anymore. Because it's like, my life has been a series of events, and maybe that's why I am the way I am, because I've only been able to go off of my experiences in God's voice. But it's like been hard, bro. Like, my life has been hard, and I ain't saying like, my grandmother who raised me, she died. I'm like, I've been divorced, like, but it's not even that. It's just, it's not been a break nowhere. It's never been like, okay, I can breathe. It's just been like one test after another, one trial after another.
You need a win.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm like, God, when is that going to happen? And it just made me not trust people, not trust the words of people.
Right.
It's made me just be very reserved in a lot of aspects. Like, for instance, like 16 people RSVP for the next think tank, and 3 maybes, right? And I'm like, I had 22 and 3, and 7 people showed up. Like, I just called cap on stuff. Like, and I'm gonna serve those people, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, I'm over people not being people of their word. I'm over, like, it's like, why people can't be as obedient and stuff as I am obedient at times. And I understand that that's not a realistic question. Like, it's not a realistic expectation, rather. Right. Like, I get it. But it's just like, bro, I don't know, dog. Like, I'm just like at a place where I'm just like, okay, keep going. And this is what I was getting to. Bro, if I could tell you how many people inbox me like, yo, man, what you said is so inspiring, bro. Like, hey, I see what you're doing, bro. Keep going. You great. Like, you ain't making no money right now, but the money coming, bro. And I'm like, yeah, but when, bro? Like when, dog? Like I keep hearing that. I'm almost to the point, bro, where it's like I don't like people telling me that, like, oh, you great, or oh, you gonna do this, or the money. It's almost like when you was going through stuff and people like, I knew something was up. I knew how you felt when people said that. That's how I'm starting to feel when people tell me that. I'm like, man, go on with that stuff, dog. Like, chill out,
bro. You remember we had the conversation? I was like, bro, a couple of thoughts about everything you just said. Number one, you remember our conversation? I'm like, bro, the who don't come, too much energy, bro.
Yeah,
far too much energy, because
yeah,
if we boil it, if we break it all the way down, bro, to ministry, it's always the 99 for the one. So if you stop one man from cheating on his wife, what did you just do for that woman?
Right. Generation.
That will break that can break a woman. You know what I mean? That can split up all that. So if you stop one,
yeah, because
of one think tank, what did you just stopped another split household. Mm-hmm. If you stop one from committing suicide, there's generations that can come from that, man. Ministry, I broke it down simple in my mind to where if I can just bless one, it's worth it. It's worth the headache of how you feel when people cap, when people don't show. To bless one, yeah, that's how important that one life is. I mean, Christ literally showed us that. The money piece, I think, TD Jake says, find that thing that you'll do it free and figure out a way to get paid for it. That just comes with innovation. It ain't that hard to make money.
Right.
You didn't see me 6 years come up with 1 million different hustles. You didn't get out.
True, but the kickback is, I agree with you 1,000%. And the only kickback I give you is, but what is the thing though? Because to just make the money, I get it. Like,
right.
Whatever. But what is your thing? Because you didn't stick with none of that stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It showed that it's you have the capacity
to make money. Yeah. If I wanted to develop a system, I could develop a system and just repeat the process over again. But also, with me, the reason I'm able to do that type of stuff is without a microphone, without a platform. If you just give me fatherhood, leading in any capacity in law enforcement, and being able to serve at church, I'm good. I'm fulfilled. Mm-hmm. If I don't have nothing outside of that, which is my complacency, there is also one of my downfalls. But if you don't give me nothing, if you don't give me a microphone, if you don't give me a title in it, I promise you, I assure you, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I can jump in some, jump out, because it don't matter, because I'm good over here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
But for you got your primary thing that you're doing as a means to the end.
Yeah.
You got love being a father. You got the podcast and deal like that. And so now you have this thing. But I think for you, man, and I'll talk about it more when I get into the whole gifts thing, bro. But I don't know. So you remember you told me, you was like, man, this season is gonna require a different level of righteousness out of you for you to go where God's taking you to step.
Yeah.
I was looking at Paul's letter to the church at Corinth, right? Mm-hmm. And so spiritual gifts don't come until chapter 12. Paul deals with so many other things before he gets to telling people about spiritual gifts and the purpose of gifts and all this stuff like that to kind of prepare you to use your gifts, right? And so I don't know if it's true or not, or I'm no biblical scholar, but what was revealed to me in the text was, what if before we can properly move in our spiritual gifts, we have to deal with all of the things, right, that he talks about before he even brings it up? What if our mind is so clouded and we collectively are not properly functioning our spiritual gifts because there's still some things either behind closed doors or in our hearts that are undealt with. Mm-hmm. Even though the Holy Spirit gives us the gifts to move in, and no one can take that. You know what I'm saying? You can do what you do, moving your gifts to help other people, be a blessing, and God will deal with you how He chooses to deal with you because of what you're doing. But what if for us, though, internally, we kind of disqualify ourselves because we know we still have some undealt with stuff. So for you, man, you're right. You're still at your age looking back saying, like, when is the wind coming? Like, I've dealt with this, I've dealt with this. There's never been a break. That stuff ain't dealt with yet. Because, Pete, if it was dealt with, I feel like now where you are and the things that are actually going well for you, you'll be like, man, I overcame a lot to get here.
Right.
But the conversation is, man, when is my break coming?
Yeah.
It's almost like if you're in the line at the club, you waiting to get in. You got that one partner, ain't been nowhere. Like, man, we gonna get in here, man. We gonna get the feet, man. Think my fish straight. Like, bro, chill, bro.
Right.
Chill. Like, chill. I'm here. We're here. We're at the club. The address. The club is right there.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, we go. What's the hold up, man? Hey,
hey, what's up?
Give me in. Like, baby, hey, pay. You've arrived to where God has called you to be, and you're the dude. You're the dude in the line at the club, asking when I'm gonna get there. You're there.
Yeah.
You're there, bro.
Yeah.
You just have to continue to wait in line until it shall go, because He may be just waiting to see, are you going to stay? Are you going to stay there? If you're saying that this is where God, if God is looking at you like, okay, He knows this is where I've positioned him. He says he's good with stand down. He says it's about the men. So what if it takes him 10 years before he can come off that job? Is it about being where God called you to be? Or is it about it looking like what you want it to look like? You got a decision to make. How you gonna wait?
Yeah. I'll tell you this. God, I'll be honest. I think God showed me a long time ago why it is that I'm still here, while I'm in the promised land with the Egypt mindset. Because the same reason that the Israelites struggled and stayed there is because their hearts were estranged from God. I'm cool with the revelation. Mm-hmm. I'm cool with the blessings. Mm-hmm. But when it goes quiet, will you still worship me? Mm-hmm. Will you still seek my voice even when I choose to be silent? Mm-hmm. I have a heart for worship since I was young.
Right.
But won't do it. I was thinking about David, and I broke down this whole thing about David. Like, you know, I was telling you, man, God been knocking me over my head with David. First Samuel 17, and I'm like, imagine being a son. And I listened to a couple people, TD and somebody else, talk about how David may have even been a bastard child. It's possible.
Okay.
Because if you look at even the description of him versus his brothers, he didn't look like them at all.
I'm tracking.
And even the fact that, like they was like, yeah, but he a shepherd. He down there with them sheep. Yeah. Or when he went to go to the battle to go give the food like his daddy told him to, his brother came to him like, man, what you doing, bro? You know you just down here trying to be nosy about what's going on. And his response was like, okay, what I do now, bro?
Right.
Which would lend to there was already an issue there.
Yeah.
So imagine being the youngest, the 8th brother of a daddy that thinks less of you, it's said of you to the king that you're a mighty warrior. Mm-hmm. You're talented in instrument. The Bible says he had beautiful eyes and was handsome. Mm-hmm. And you're still not accepted. You're still rejected. What type of heart did David have to destroy Goliath? And Saul say, who daddy is that? Who's that boy daddy?
Right.
I don't know. Hey, who your daddy? And he went like, is that nigga? Right. Jesse. And he didn't do that.
Right.
My daddy is Jesse from the tribe of this and that.
Right.
To like, basically what I'm speaking to is, I've always, and not in a real sense, like, a lot of people like to try to get super like, oh, I'm David, oh, I'm Gideon, oh, I'm Joseph. Like, God could give you that comparison. Mm-hmm. But I've always likened myself to David before I even had context in what it was.
Right.
Like, my heart, I remember being like 12, like, God, I just want to have wisdom. Like, I just want to understand life better. I want to, you know what I'm saying? And I always had this sensitive heart. Like, super sensitive heart, bro, that I forced myself to cover up and protect because they were going to say I was soft. They was going to say I was a punk. And so how that translated was, I'm going to be very angry. Mm-hmm. I'm going to harden my heart. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to show any emotion.
Right.
I'm not going to feel. Mm-hmm. And then it just checked me to think about all the stuff that David went through. The king put him in position to slay his 10,000s. Then when it was acknowledged, his heart turned and he wanted to kill him. David's heart never split from loving Saul, regardless to all of it.
Right.
It also would lead me to think that he never stopped loving his daddy. That's why he still went back to tend his sheep. Man, God has rocked me with this story. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to walk it out. Like, I'm going to just sit down and walk it out at some point. But basically, all I'm saying is, like, I have to let God get into the hard places, because even though he's put some patchwork over it, I go digging at what he's starting this new thing in me. I go dig it up, mm-hmm. based off of my own past experiences, my hurt, new stuff that people do. It's because, man, it's like I remember Caleb told me, he said, brother, he said, I love you. I support you. I believe in you. I believe you're going to do great things. And he said, and I see that when you do something, you do it with all your heart. And so the disconnect is, it may come off like it's not that I'm truly mad that people aren't showing up. I'm disappointed because my heart is really there to serve.
I'll say this real quick, man. So, cool. Give them that. Don't give them rah-rah.
Yeah.
Bro,
hard.
Get on there and be like, but yeah, man. And we kept with it. But y'all hurt my feelings a little bit, man. Y'all give them the vulnerable piece will make people buy into. And you remember I said something about one of your posts. The post will even come across as angry ant. Yeah. And so now, like,
and I didn't mean nothing like what he,
right. You said, but I'm reading it too, and I know you.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Give them that. Give them, like, I'm nervous about this next event. I'm nervous about this because I want men to show up and be blessed. But give them that, bro. Give them the vulnerability. That's gonna be more likable than rah. You know what, man? I'm sitting there like one time, y'all SVP car flipped over 18 times. Y'all in ICU still show up because that's what you're giving. It's giving. It's giving angry. It's giving angry.
No, real talk.
So give them the vulnerable piece, bro. What your bill still gonna get paid. If another man call you, if he call you, ain't nobody really even on that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Give them. That was one of the biggest things I learned in the conversation with Pastor. Like, he's like, man, if you nervous, tell them folk you nervous.
Yeah.
It's the code red. Take your time. Tell them.
Yeah. And
now they can see. Now they see a human being and not a robot.
Yeah.
But don't be machine. Speaker. Quote. And then you want to get in your. Don't do that. Give them the vulnerable piece. Hey, man, y'all got to start showing up for my thing, man. Don't click it, man.
Yeah.
Like, dang, man, y'all really hurt my feelings. Like, I put a lot. And then give them your heart behind it. Because you can speak well. Give them the heart behind. Give them the vulnerable piece, man. And then they can see you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's the task, bro.
Yeah.
Is letting God rewire that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, bro, it's not that I'm incapable. It's just it's hard at this point because I've covered up so much just out of protection that now it's like you know, so
get through the scar tissue.
Yeah, man. So man, this has been good, bro. I ain't gonna hold you.
Oh yeah.
Been fruitful. And this is I ain't gonna lie. This is the stuff. It's always been easier at a certain point to be able to share this way than to people in a certain dynamic because of, you know, just the stuff we already been talking about.
Right.
But man, we about to wrap it up. I actually got to get out of here. Randy got to get, you know, I'm pretty sure he got an extra job to work or some sleep to get or something. But man, how I end every podcast now is, man, I want you to give the men out there that are seeking to be whole, healthy, and healed. And just a parenthetical pause here. I don't profess to have it together. I am also working towards those things. For sure. And I think that is the beauty of the platform and where it will go.
For sure.
Is because it shows the work in progresses that we are. We aren't gonna sit up here and act like we all got it figured out or it's perfect, because it's not. But I want you to give the people, the men that may listen to this platform, and the women who might want to help their husbands or future, you know, their sons or whatever, a peek inside of the mind of a man that they could have something to take home to work towards that whole, healthy, healed piece.
That's the first thing that comes to mind, man, is seek help early, man. You done been through a lot, and then especially if you were raised by parents who were born in the 60s, or you're around a man who was born around the 60s, man, you only know one way to think. They taught you wrong. You've been through some stuff. Go talk to somebody. We can't as men groom those that we're responsible for that we're robots, because that's honestly how we move. We work, we don't rest properly, we don't take time to ourselves, we don't take care of ourselves, we don't eat healthy, and then be mad when they look at us like a machine who just has to perform. We've groomed them that way. So man, let your people know that you're human, and please go talk to somebody. And don't go to this whole I tried therapy and you went twice. Right. You didn't try therapy. The therapist is a professional. She or he is going to tell you when therapy is over. I think personal testament, I was in therapy less than a month after the divorce. I probably should have even went before then. Seek help early, man. You're not a machine. You're a human being. You have feelings. You have doubts. You have insecurities. Address them, man.
Yeah.
Address them, man. So that's the best thing I got for you, man. Seek help early. Seek help now.
Yes, sir. Man, cool, man. Hey, man. Say, man. This has been the first episode from the Mind of a Man podcast. It was beautiful. I love this episode, man. I think it's going to be something that people can really use.
Right.
Because, man, I always want to give people a side that shows like unfinished product,
right,
and working through it and don't sugarcoat it. Like, we got enough people that are pretending to be something that they're not in this world. I, for one, have no desire to be a part of that number. So, man, thank you guys for watching. I am your boy AntMoe, Randy C. Mays. Until next time, say la, man. Peace.